The beautiful thing about the new kid on the block is they test everything. They are the biggest quality control and systems analysts. So the best way to figure out if you really have a system is to give it to somebody who knows nothing about it.
I'm so tired of micromanaging. How do I train, manage, and lead? I can't find time to be visionary. Head down in the weeds.
Hello. Welcome. So glad to have you all here. So let's talk about the onboarding that actually retains people. Number one, week one, we talked about why candidates are ghosting you and what to do about it. Week two, we talked about the hiring process step by step that works. And now we're talking about hiring or onboarding and what actually retains people. So let's talk about onboarding. I don't know about any of you, but usually when you make the offer letter, the person accepts it. We're like, whew, we are in the, we can wipe our brow, check that box, we're done. What happens is that you make someone an offer, we got to start onboarding them immediately because we need them to get to day one. So onboarding actually starts when they sign their offer letter and they agree on it, especially if it's out too long. They need to give a month's notice or 2 weeks and they want to take a vacation, what have you. You have to start dating them, keeping them engaged through that. And then once they get there on day one, that's where it starts. And you have to make certain that whoever is responsible for onboarding is that 100% we are clear what's happening on day one, all the way to, I recommend 6 months. I see over and over again that people believe the first 90 days, a lot of recruitment agencies only give a 90-day guarantee. So getting clear that we can wipe our brow, yes, that part of the process is done. Dating people, interviewing people, ads, hiring, offer letter. Now we're into onboarding. And this really determines if a new hire becomes a long-term team member and really giving you that entrepreneurial freedom that you deserve and the replacement for anyone. In my experience, it's never the reasons that you think. They were made more money, they got a better offer, mom's sick, this happened in their life, what have you. I hear it all the time. And if they're a true rock star and you did the sourcing, ads, interviewing, all that right, it is because they're confused in some way, shape, or form. Human beings at the core. I don't know about you all, but me, I'm always on a mission for clarity. And so what their experience is, nobody defined what success looks like in the first 30 days. It wasn't clear, concise, well communicated, trackable. The attorney's too busy to onboard, figure it out is a training plan, even though we feel like it's written in our SOPs or what have you. It's a set it and forget it. We have to remember we're hiring human beings first and foremost, and human doings secondly. Huge disclaimer, you did the recruiting and all that correctly up front. But that's usually not my experience. My experience is that the onboarding was unclear. It was fuzzy. That's what was overwhelming, not the workload, because they're not even clear on what their workload is. There's no check-in cadence and communication in small batches, small problems before they even turn into mountains, making mountains out of molehills, so to speak. The new hire feels absolutely isolated from the team's culture and rhythm, even if you are inviting them into your weekly stakeholders meeting. Hopefully you're having those. I have witnessed and shadowed and had people record those and send them to me where we're talking, but there's no inclusion with the new hire. We're talking about them like they're not even in the room. They still feel isolated because they don't have a voice. Maybe they weren't giving authority, responsibility, and permission to have a voice. I'm going to talk about day 1 to 90 onboarding plan to complete a template for the first 90 days. Always easier to edit than create, especially in this day and age with AI. So really having an orientation schedule, systems access checklists, and daily check-in structure. When I do onboarding with law firms, my number one question, and take this or leave it, is that when we are sitting here 30 days from now, what is occurring consistently and persistently, and the training of this part is complete. We are putting a big check mark next to that checklist. And so often I will have the attorney, the supervisor do a brain drain. And I am here with my pen and my pad. And like, that's a 6-month bucket. That's a 90-day bucket. Then we drill it down into 30 days. And that is so critical because you're also then clarifying and verifying, having your new hire debrief with you. And how are they set up for success? How do we know what done is look like? I had a call today with a law firm in my law firm admin boot camp, and they're like, well, so-and-so has only been with us for 4 months and she's still pretty new. And I'm like, okay, so-and-so, do you believe that statement? And they're like, no, I am absolutely ready to take that on. Give it to me. Give me what you feel like done would look like, and let me 80% it to you and come back and present it to you. I think so often we're being responsible as leaders, owners, and we don't want to overwhelm people. There's also this, they're not ready to, or they're still new and they've been here 4 months, 6 months, 8 months, what have you. Not true in my experience. So it's a little bit of analysis paralysis, and I'm not going to go into the reasons, but I really want after today, when you spend time with us, to pay attention to anybody who's new on your team that you've hired, that you may be having a mindset or actual verbiage out of your mouth that says this. So we have this 90-day onboarding plan that we are chunking into 30-day increments with a daily huddle template. So we are really anchoring to that and going into the 15-minute agenda that keeps new hires accountable, connected, and aligned from day one. We are constantly keeping them away from shark-infested recruiters. You've heard me say this in one of the sessions. Now that we're sitting here in week 3, my favorite is when we reach out to candidates and they will take the time and reply to us and say, not interested. I love where I work. They don't know if we're offering them Cadillac benefits, monthly mani, pedi, massages, what have you, $50,000 more money or what have you. I try to go as far and find the law firm that they're working for and find someone I could send a message and say, whatever you are doing, pour some gasoline on that, because your employees won't even talk to a recruiter, even if we are offering them the sun, the moon, the stars. So whatever you're doing, keep doing it. And 9 out of 10 times we will get a reply and say, thank you very much for communicating this, and this going at the top of our strategic plan for this quarter, that we're even going to 10x that puppy. Nobody needs a job in this day and age. And it's not to breathe fear into the room, but it's really to say, how can we be competitive in this day and age? And I say this to small law firms all the time. I have boutique law firms that are making, when you look at their profit margins and you look at their work-life balance, they're knocking the snot out of big law firms. I have people leaving boutique or big law firms to go into a boutique firm. So I want to really walk you through the 90-day onboarding framework and what we're doing at day 1 to day 30. And this is foundations and first wins. I know it's probably going to kill your soul if you're an entrepreneur and a leader, especially if you've been without help for quite some time. It is less is more, and impatient people like me don't like to hear that. We're just delighted. Let me throw everything in the kitchen sink so I can get back to doing my job that I'm supposed to be doing as an attorney or what have you. And so this is really about making certain that we have the welcomes and the systems access set up. So when you're onboarding someone, you have to start with the foundation of the house first and foremost, how the engine works from lead generation to client, from client to closing a matter, whatever piece, if they're just working in production as a paralegal. And I don't mean just, but they're lucky that that's their number one silo job description, what have you. You have to teach, show, do, go, grow, training, kickoff on everything, everything. We no longer will use statements. If you anchor to this, no longer use statements like they're not ready, they're new, what have you, when you adopt this. So you teach them, you show them, you have every piece of the process. The CRM, it's a physical paper manual, what have you, so they can connect the dots and walk through the journey. So when you're communicating, this is how we do intake. This is step one. This is the link that's set to the client. When the client fills it out, here's where it go. You're going back to, if you're as old as me, the old Visio boards. And you're showing them that, and then you're giving them their first assignment. This is definitely within, once they make sure they have access as an onboarding coach, this will tell you everything about their technology. It will show you everything about their resourcefulness. Because even I've had attorneys say, well, when they're logging in or what have you, and I got the 2-step verification code, and I'm looking in my email and they're teaching me, no, you have to go here, open up your email, hit this number, do this, and they're actually training you. So you have to make certain that you have foundations down. They have all access. I've heard marketing horror stories about hiring marketing coordinators, and then we give them their assignment and we come back a week later and they still can't get into our ads account and never raised their hand and told you. That's a whole other problem, but really introducing them into their KPIs, your SOPs, and weekly priorities. So many people are in the legal space, which is exciting. Love the word KPIs, SOPs, what have you. And then they get upset when they feel like they spent all this time, energy, money creating them and nobody follows them, and you know the drill. And so you really want to make certain that the first 30 days, when you have the foundations, they know the tech stack, they have the logins, they know everything. Now, key performance indicators for 30 days for their position. So if it's intake or what have you, we are incredibly clear that it's not just answering the phones and what have you. If they need, their job is to fill the calendar, if their job is to reduce cancellations, reschedules, and no-shows, if you're a paralegal and your job is to replace the attorney in drafting documents or what have you, that you're incredibly clear on that, on the key performance indicators around that. So in 30 days from now, I'm going to be out of foundational drafting, or I'm going to be out of the 15-minute discovery call, or I'm going to be, if it's on intake, or I'm going to no longer have to manage a calendar. You understand the ideal week. The beautiful thing about the new kid on the block is they test everything. They're the biggest quality control and systems analysts. So the best way to figure out if you really have a system is to give it to somebody who knows nothing about it. So here is our system for adding a new matter into the system, how to move them from a workflow, how to move them from a lead into a client with engagement, especially if you're using 2 different case management and a lead generation platform around that. And so you're giving it to them. And again, they're coming back and presenting to you in regards to that. The weekly priorities are actually the time chunking. So this is a great way to spot check if you are truly intentional and responsible with your onboarding. If they cannot present you by the end of that week, they start on Monday, and by Friday, a suggested time template if you do not have one for them. Here's the training or the SOP or the wikis or the what have you, where you're going to go to it. You're also going to shadow that part of the meeting with me 3 different times, what have you. And then by the end of the week, my goal is that you take a stab. You're shadowing meetings all these days. You're watching the trainings online, 8 hours, 8 different modules, what have you. And by Thursday, I want you to start drafting. I'm giving you 3 plans. Should take you about 2 hours to plan. That's about 6 hours. I'm going to give you some wiggle room. We have your daily huddle, and we'll have an open door policy for you to clarify, verify. And then that's your whole day on Thursday and Friday. I want you to present to me exactly what you did. And that's how you onboard a drafting coordinator in 1 week, by and large. So you see the difference with not taking their entire job description and dumping it on them, or showing them about this one department and that department and the marketing and you get the drill. Quick wins, first wins. This is how we onboard people. You should have so much data and information. How they do one thing is how they do everything. And so at that end of the week, if they're not rating on a scale of 1 to 10, pretty dang close to a 6, 7, then we have to take a big pause and do a debrief with them and figure out what parts of it did you not have that you need. Remember when I talked about last week? How do you learn best? You're understanding that, and you're definitely understanding it in the Teach, Show, Do, Go, Grow model. Then we're moving on to days 31 to 60, where at this point, they should be taking ownership and accountability, not 6 months. They've been shadowing. Here's the type of meeting we're walking in. Here's the beginning. Here's the middle. Here's the end. Here's the intended outcome. And you, new employee, we're going to do a debrief. I'm going to be quiet and you're going to debrief with me your takeaways, areas of improvement, where you see your role, where the attorney's role, where the client's role, what have you. They're going to be doing an SOP review and then the daily huddles. And guess what? So often we feel like we need to have everything in a perfect bow before we can hire. When you hire right, my greatest ad that had the greatest response is when I wrote an ad early on when I was in the thick of little kids and all that things. We do not have written documented processes, and this is what I need you to come here and do. I have a framework. I have ideas of what it looks like. You need to build it. People loved it. There are people out there. So it's not necessarily on you, attorneys, entrepreneurs, leaders, that you have to have everything in a perfect bow. In fact, I believe sometimes it's better that you don't, because that was created from whatever mindset and moment at the time. This person should be consistently in every step of the process coming to with the analysis and review of your SOP. And then they have shifted to leading the internal check-ins and tracking KPIs. You're there as a coach. By day 31, if you do not have new hires that you have on board right now, it's an opportunity to go back and do a quick power of the pause. I'd highly recommend going back and watching session 1 and session 2. Put me on fast speed. Again, make sure you hire right. The oldest standing employees, not by age, but years of service, may have resistance to this, may be sabotaging them. You are not letting go of the steering wheel just yet. You're observing and you're making sure you're involved in some capacity, that if they're coming to and giving you a weekly update on this ownership and accountability phase of the new hire, that there are no meetings after the meetings. We're having adult conversations in real time. I'm okay if it ends with termination, but I need to really make certain that I have all the data and information, because there's 3 sides story. And I need to make sure I'm facilitating this. We are building entrepreneurial operating system here. So this garbage that I see all over, that it takes 6 months to a year to onboard somebody, no, I feel like that's giving us permission to be lazy about onboarding people intentionally, impactfully, and paying attention to the data. By day 31, it is a hell yes or a hell no. Hopefully before day 30, but definitely by day 31, if they're not coming to you with some surprising information, or maybe not so surprising, but something that's been on your back at 2:00 in the morning checklist, tucked all the way back here, maybe sometimes here, if they're not coming to you with that, that's a red flag. And maybe they do have the capacity, skill set, knowledge, and all that for that, but they don't feel safe. So in the first 30 days, when we're setting up the foundation, the tonality, the core values, everything, I shared some examples last week. We have radical candor, that we have extreme accountability, extreme ownership, things of that nature. Get rid of the family first, please. So day 60 and beyond, they're coming to you with proposed solutions. They're coming to you with spot checking and spot process gaps, suggested improvements, not what do you think. They're trained right to come with proposed solutions. They're coming to you as like a consistently through day 1 and beyond of asking why, like a 5-year-old. Remember, they're doing a presentation every Friday from week 1 and beyond with the teach, show, do, grow mentality and framework in there. They are doing a 90-day self-reflection and final review. Not you. It's not on you. You are there for coaching, mentorship, leadership, redirection, and or approval on some things, not review. They're coming to you with long-term goals and growth plans. It's not coming with a level of arrogancy or ego or what have you. But when talking about long-term goals or what have you that are relevant to the thing that they are hired for. So the daily huddle, in my opinion, I'm going to go through the tool in a moment, is your greatest retention tool. Again, I'm assuming that we really have a safe culture and environment. We actually walk our talk. We do not have a culture and a mindset that we're throwing people under the bus. This is an adult playground. We are all accountable. We have radical candor. Without daily huddles, problems surface at 60 days, not on day 10, not on day 2, not on day 3. New hires don't know the firm's priorities. So we feel like we can let go and trust. And I don't love the word trust, but we're letting go a little bit. We never, definitely in the first 6 months of onboarding, I need people that could come in and produce on day 1. And then I'll say, number 1, check the box. If you're not doing with that with your current employees, you're playing with fire, because they're going to leave eventually for better money, which is never the case. Guys, the same reason why your clients do not hire you, because your fees are too high. The value's been missing. And so performance starts to drift and go unnoticed. With daily huddles, this is the best time. I'll get pushback all the time from people. My favorite quote is, if you don't make time for your wellness, you will be forced to make time for your illness. And some, that hits a little too hard in the chest, because we're spending 15 minutes writing an email, replying to an email, delegating work, fighting for clarity, getting information. Then the communication ping pong happens. I really push back hard, because you have the time. You're just not efficient and effective with it. And the daily huddles are ran like a well-oiled. Problems caught and resolved in real time. And not only problems, but opportunities, guys. Opportunities. I can't tell you how many team members I talk to, and they don't want to bother the attorney, or the attorney's too busy, or what have you. I see so many opportunities in that day and age, that consistently in the daily huddle. It's not just about problem, it's about opportunity. And the new hire gets to aligned in daily priorities from week 1. They get to see and witness when, if I'm a new hire, what have you, I'm a new employee, I'm like, wow, they walk their core values here. Like, I see a paralegal kind of giving the attorney the old kick in the fanny, and it was receptive, and there was no excuses or what have. The stories and the reasons are the cemetery for your dream. I don't care why you didn't do it. I'm coming to you with a proposed solution, and we're locking arms doing this together. It's integrated into your team culture immediately. So if I'm the new hire and I'm looking at the SOP and I see problems in back office of production when I'm following this SOP or what have you, do you think I'm going to use my voice quicker? Because I just saw 3 people do this in a 15-minute daily huddle, and they didn't get fired. They got rewarded for being a true leader. They didn't get, the drill. And now the attorney has permission to step out of the daily decision loop. When they go to the daily huddle, the attorney's like, I still need to do my top priorities or this. And I'm hearing you say this, and I say, time out real quick. Attorney Bob, like you have a jam-packed calendar today. Can I 80%? Does it really require an attorney to do that right now? Can I 80% it for you and then put time on your calendar from 4 to 4:30 before you have to leave for Susie's dance and just review it with you? Absolutely. So we're demonstrated accountability is baked into the day. And it's really important that you get this handled. I'm going to make it easy on you. I'm going to let the attorney know that you only have 45 minutes, not an hour. And just so you know, it moved from Zoom versus in person. And I just saved us a $10,000 fee. Thank you very much. Like, how great is that? So really communicating that versus, and now you're walking into your next meeting. Money is energy. Like my team is so solid. This is hurting your closing rate, gang. Whether you know it or not, money is energy, and we're all responsible for the energy we bring in the room and we leave in the room. And so when you get information like this in the daily huddle, do you think you are walking with the biggest spring in your step? Do you think your energy's even lighter, even though you have a day that would choke most people by 10 a.m.? Even though, because you know that somebody has your front, they have your back, they have it handled. And I know in my bones that it hurts your conversion rate, that it helps your conversion rate, even if it is bad news or what have you. We caught a typo in the documents. The client's going to be here in 30 minutes. Don't worry, don't freak out. Susie's going to go in there right now and start talking about funding. We're just going to reverse engineer the script a little bit and we're going to do boop, boop. Are you freaking out? No. Is it ideal? No, but we'll handle. You're like, okay, Molly, make sure you put on that we need a meeting. This second time it happened, I know we're going to fix it. Put time on the calendar for the whole drafting department. To me, and we're all going to meet in regardless. Thank you for the heads up. Now you're walking in differently. I hope you see the importance and why we absolutely positively need this. This framework is built for day one. So we have days 1 to 30 again. And we have milestones. So know your milestones and know your red flags. And what are going to be red flags? Systems access not completed in the first week. I would say first day. No clarity on KPIs or SOPs by day 14, especially if you are delegating this to a team member and you have the luxury of having a CEO or what have you that is taking this. I can't tell you how many people have hired our company and delegated the 6-month onboarding to us on the goals for day 1 through 30, must have milestones in the red flags. And as the attorney, you are getting a report. If there are a lot of red flags as an indicator, you have to step in before you take Joni's word for it and you fire the person. Joni might not be fully trained in communication. They might not be demonstrating the teach, show, do, go, grow. Pay attention to the red flags. There should always be red flags. Heck, there should always be some kind of, and when I say red flags, I don't mean like on fire, in that regard, but they are warning signs. They're extreme, just like the caution sign that is there to pay attention to, but they're not the same in that regard because they're moving into different levels in that regard. You have to graduate from level 1 to level 2. Now they're moving into maybe their first week is the first 3 bullet points of their job description. You have to pick and choose and then chunk it out into segments. So I love these milestones because I always tell people, what does it feel like, look like, walk like, talk like, act like? when it is quote unquote done. And so you can see these are behaviors and habits more than skill set and knowledge. They're shadowing, they're co-leading, they're role-specific tasks. They're coming independently running projects and meetings. They're spot checking process improvement gaps, and they are suggesting improvements. You can't quantify those things typically in skills and knowledge. You know the skills and knowledge part of it, but a lot of times I'll hear all the time, they lied on their resume. They didn't have the experience that they said that they did. Sometimes it's true, and it can be true. But in my experience, I don't know anybody who's going to lie on their resume and then think they're going to get away with it even in day one, especially when you interviewed right. And remember, I talked about, I think in session 2, about interviewing. This is really about behaviors. It is about them understanding and using their voice. They are not showing up as a yes chick. They're not showing up like a deer in the headlights. They're communicating. They're clarifying, they're verifying, they're stopping, they're contributing in that daily huddle when it comes to their turn for their top 3 priorities for the day. And they're not talking heads and just parrots for their trainer and their leader. There's some grit and substance to what they're saying in regards to that. And so they're even coming in that moment and propose solutions or what have you. So the SOP might say this, but they're communicating in that regard. So if it's to get billing out, which is the biggest, their case manager, what have you, the SOP says at the end of the week, that we check everyone's billable hours, what have you, and workload and et cetera. I have 2 hours in my time template outside my training, outside where I'm at right now, to be able to take that on. And that's a priority for me today. I already talked with Susie this morning, and she thinks it's a great idea. Just want to communicate it for everyone. So I'm going to be untouchable. I have permission to shut my door for 2 hours and kind of do an audit on this and see where there's an imbalance in work, see where attorneys are doing admin time and not leaning on their paralegals and what have you. So I really would like to take 2 hours each day. If I'm the attorney or what have you, I'm like, you know what? Shut your door for the whole day. This is your only priority. I don't even want to hear about priority 2 and 3. This is your priority for the rest of the week. I've been begging for this report for years. So you get the drill. And then you're really defining your starting conditions within here. So before you set milestones, we're really clear on the context. We're clear on what your new hiring is entering, even if it's this pool of backlog, and that's quite often in a law firm. And so that might be the 30-day goal. That might just be it. And that's the onboarding plan. I can't tell you how many we can do the brain drain and communicate everything at 90 days or what have you, and then back it all the way in. We'll save everything else for 60 days, 80 days, 90 days, 30 days. We need immediate wins in regards to this. And it's the one thing. It's one of my favorite books. The one thing. The one thing. We are not going into idea fairyland. And who do they interact with most? Internally and externally with clients. And what does that relationship need to look like? Clear, concise, trackable, measurable. And then you get clear. Do this brain drain before they even come in with your team. If your team's part of this process, if you're a true solo, and if you need help, I'll give you a link to book an appointment. Happy to help you after you do the brain drain and go through this exercise so we have some context to work with. And by all means, be incredibly clear on foundations and first wins. First wins matter more than anything because guess what? This is a retention tool. Everybody needs to see a win. What does a successful first month look like in your firm, specifically for this role? For this role, a strategic byproduct could mean collapsing the life cycle of a matter. A strategic byproduct can mean more leads, more clients, more revenue, all that. but specifically, if they are a paralegal, they are not impacted. That's post-engagement. So it has to be clear about production. If they are in operations, it's ideally going to be about people, process, not about profitability in the first month. And then red flags that would trigger a check-in or performance conversation. Get really, really clear on this, guys. By day 31, if not sooner, they are demonstrating extreme ownership and accountability. My favorite thing is in the daily huddle when people are like, heads up, I royally messed up X, Y, and Z or what have you. I already met with Attorney Joe and we have a plan in regards to this, but I just want you to know that it's still sitting at this stage because of X, Y, and Z, and we're fixing it. And then they are about employment, empowerment, and growth by day 61. Yes, guys, no more 6 months, 12 months to onboarding. No more, well, they're not ready. We need to collapse time. And we're collapsing time intentionally, responsibly, in an empowering way in regards to knowing if this person is the right fit. And quite honestly, they're asking themselves the same question. They're still dating and interviewing you too. So what the way to keep somebody engaged is that we are having upfront conversations in real time. And the easiest way to do this is in the daily huddle. The easiest way to do this is if you have case management and you're hiring people, attorneys, paralegals, or what have you for post-engagement and production work, here's a quick tip. Make sure you do not. I can't tell you how many people do biweekly or monthly case status meetings. When you are onboarding someone, they have got to be weekly. Absolutely. So they can experience it. It is part of their onboarding. I am not a huge fan of biweekly. I think that's incredibly too long, and your clients deserve more than that. Not saying you as an attorney entrepreneur have to be in there, but we uncover quite a bit, as you see, when you start doing the daily huddles. And then we're getting clear on the pre-start alignment and then the daily huddle template as I start right now implementing this, even if you don't have a new hire on board. I always share this story that a Super Bowl champion sports team, winning team, does not create a plan and then go on the field and go full throttle. They have practice every single day. They're watching film every single week of what happened last week and where they missed some mark. They have timeouts. They have halftime. They're consistently huddling and making certain and communicating. This is the greatest ROI. And as I tell many of my students in law firm admin bootcamp, you are not a bother to your attorney. Remove the word busy out of your law firm because the day you're not busy is the day you're out of business. And if we are not giving the same, it just means that we're ineffective. It just means that we're not honoring time chunking. But you want to give your internal clients, i.e. your team, your employees, your whatever, naming convention, virtual assistants, the same respect and time that you give to your clients. You would never tell a client that you're too busy to do a sales meeting where they want to write you a check for 10 grand. 15 minutes every morning. And I give you an agenda again, non-negotiables on this, signs that it's working for you, and then you can absolutely customize your huddle. But one non-negotiable is ditching it and not doing it. I cannot say enough in regards to this. And so start with our first week. You have to remember, people live in MSU, making stuff up university. All of us are picking from our past. You're picking from the past disastrous hire that you've had in the past, and they're picking from the past in regards to past really horrible coworkers, first and foremost. Not even just the boss. And or from the boss, it's not about demoralizing, horrible, degrading. It's typically absentee abandonment because they're so busy. No longer, I really highly recommend you go back into your office tomorrow and say, rule number 1, we are never to say that we are busy. The second you catch yourself saying you're busy, pause and write down what that thing is that you feel like we are too busy to address. Because a day we're not busy is a day we are out of business. And your employees, I hear so often that the attorney's too busy, too busy. And that's a shame. That's a shame. It might be the truth that you have a lot in your calendar, and hopefully it's intentional and color coded for marketing and money meetings and all the good things, operations, whatever it might be, leadership, but that they do not believe that you are just too busy in that regard. To me, what that means is unapproachable. To me, what that means is we do not have a framework, a standardization, an SOP that we all love that terminology for communication. We need to have communication standards within. So I want to give you, as I promised, if you would like to book a call with us and do your homework. Gotta do your homework, gang. Please put the time and energy in there, and let's talk about that, building that hiring system, onboarding system. If you just hired someone or you have someone who's been there and you're like kind of on the fence with this one, I don't know, it's a 50-50 crapshoot. If they're good, if they're not, I've delegated the onboarding. I don't have onboarding. I think our onboarding's great. Go back to those questions in the first 30 days and start cherry picking those and pulling them out and dropping them at water cooler and side-by conversations in your daily huddle. Do not be a keyboard warrior and ask that question in a Slack channel, a text, or what have you. If you have remote team members, you need a daily huddle with them. Absolutely positively. Absolutely positively. And where you want to see their eyeballs on camera, where you can feel their energy, where you can see that they're not saying what needs to be said. All right, we will see you next week. And I'm so excited for our last session together. No suffering in silence. Reach out. Let us know where we can help. And thank you for spending your time with us. All right, see you next week.
I'm so tired of micromanaging. How do I train, manage, and lead? I can't find time to be visionary. Head down in the weeds.